Our camp family is now assembled.
Welcome to our historic first ever council fire at home. We are so glad that you are all here with us.
Certainly this is a unique kind of a council fire. After all, we're not sitting out at the council fire ring. You're probably sitting at home on a couch or on a chair, and we're standing here at our home in Boise. But we really think that when the whole camp family sits down together at all and puts their minds in the mindset of a council fire, that's exactly what we're going to have. So tonight we've asked a few members of the camp community from many years ago and from just last summer to share with us some stories about their experiences at camp. Some of those stories will be funny, some will be touching, but put together, they're going to give us that feeling that all of us are after right now at this particular moment in the world, that feeling of a council fire. So everybody sit back and enjoy our first ever council fire at home.
My story begins in 1955 when I spent my 10th birthday at Camp Nebagman in Swamper 1 with Nardi Stein as my counselor. I spent 4 years as a camper at Camp Nebagman. I did all of those things that make a summer at Camp Nebagman wonderful. Activities, friends, council fires, everything that a little kid would love to be doing with their summertime. I feel very grateful for those years. In 1987, my family and I came back to Camp Nebagman, where I became the logger push. The purpose of my story is to tell you that over a long period of time, Camp Nebagman is not just a summer, it's a lifetime. A lifetime of friendships that last forever, of experiences that are memories throughout your lifetime, of principles and skills that become part of who you are, and it all starts with that one experience of which we have in common, no matter what our age is, of being a camper, a counselor of Camp Nebagman. I wish all of you the experience of having a summer and having those memories, skills, and principles that you gain from Camp Nebagman for a lifetime. It's my pleasure to be with you. I look forward to seeing all of you in the future. Have a great day.
As a village director, I have many important responsibilities, be it working with counselors and campers on any issues that arise throughout the summer, helping plan events big and small, handling wilderness trip signups, or even making sure those gots of bug juice are delivered on cookout night. The job of a village director is nothing if not wide-ranging. But of my many tasks throughout the summer, the best part of my job, week in, week out, happens for an hour or two on Wednesday afternoons, when it comes time to supervise the consumption of blizzards, Arctic freezes, shakes, floats, sundaes, dilly bars, peanut butter parfaits, and of course, dip cones. That's right, just like most of you, the highlight of my week during the summer is the trip to the Dairy Queen. And yes, while I am not immune to the lure of treats, and let me pause here to advocate for the return of the Hawaiian Blizzard to the menu. I mean, what's not to love about coconut, pineapple, banana, blended with soft serve? You can visit my new website, www.bringbackthehawaiianblizzard.com, to learn more and sign my petition. But anyway, it's not about the ice cream and other treats that make it the best part of the week. What I really love is the unhurried nature of the activity. The campers dusting off their math skills to try and maximize what they can order for $4.49. The games of euchre, Magic the Gathering, Frisbee, and Football 500. Everyone patiently waits their turn. The excitement that the campers see as they hear their name called out and they're patiently waiting for their treat. Well, maybe not so patient. And the counselor comes across the street. The fortitude the campers show as they struggle to finish off the last bites of that huge blizzard with 2 extra toppings that sounded like such a good idea in their head when they ordered it. And best of all, the unbridled smiles on the campers and staff faces as they consume their Dairy Queen. And every Wednesday, let me be clear, this is a specific responsibility of my job, something I'm compensated for, to hang out and watch all of this unfold. And if I happen to sneak in my own blizzard order every now and then, well, I need to maintain some kind of quality control, right? Keep the fires burning.
The year was 1970. It was my first summer at Camp Nebagaman. I was in Logger 5 with my best friend Adam Bezark. Now it's called Logger 7, but it was Logger 5 in those days. And one of the things about being in the Logger Village then is we had a cabin trip. We had a cabin trip up the Poplar River. The Poplar River is a very unimpressive, deep, muddy, slow-moving river that starts at Lake Superior. And we went up the Poplar River in, you won't believe this, rowboats. Camp Nebagaman had rowboat trips. So we went up the Poplar River in our rowboats, and we get to our campsite, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's on a little hill in the middle of this beautiful poplar forest, and it's about 200 yards from the beaches at Lake Superior. So we all go out to Lake Superior, and we're 12 years old. We've never seen Lake Superior before. It's beautiful. And that evening, there was an incredible sunset over Lake Superior. Now, we were ready for this, because before we went on the Poplar River trip, we all went to the Wanagon, and we all bought film for our cameras, which we brought along on the trip. And we ran back to our tents and got our cameras, ran out onto the beach, and we're photographing the sunset like mad from every conceivable angle, and it's beautiful. Oranges, reds, yellows, the sky is turning purple, and Mike Weinberg turns to me and he says, "Don't you guys have black and white film in those cameras?"
Let me set the scene. It's the last day of camp in 2001. I'm working for Roger and Judy as camp's associate director and program director. And after breakfast that morning, I win my semifinal match in the Counselor's Horse and Goggle Tournament. It's my first time making the finals in 10 years in the tournament. So I'm excited, but at the same time it presents a problem. I don't know about today, but back then, the match itself was far less important than how you entered. You wanted to make sure you showed up in style. My problem was I didn't have any time. I had a huge to-do list, and I didn't have time to get music or an entourage or costumes or anything like that. But I did have one idea if I could pull it off. I walked into the big house and there was a woman who was from Lake Nebagaman. I asked her if she knew anyone who had a horse. She said, "Yeah, my neighbor's got a horse," and she gave me the woman's number. And what was probably one of the stranger phone calls of my life, I called up this woman and tried to explain that I needed to rent a horse for about 15 minutes and ride it for about 50 yards that afternoon. For whatever reason, she agreed. I don't know if she took pity on me or she was just intrigued or what it was. But 4 hours later, she's pulling up to the waterfront gate with her horse. Now, as everyone else is going down to the awards ceremony there by the tennis courts, the horse and the horse owner and I kind of sat there by the Grundy Undy, waiting for my signal to enter the ceremony. Someone waved to me, I jumped on the horse, I put on a pair of goggles, and she led me into the ceremony. Now, at first when people saw me, there was a little confusion. Why is there a horse here? And then it kind of clicked. The horse and the goggles, horse and goggle. And at that point, people just bust out in laughs, and there was a cascade of hows, and it was just one of those moments that worked. And it's one of those things that you think, God, man, when it works, camp's just the best. Now, fast forward 17 years, I was at the 90th reunion, and I was talking to a couple of guys who had been campers during that ceremony, and they said, "Hey, do you remember when you rode in on a horse?" I said, "Oh, I remember." But the fact that they remembered, that made my day. I don't know what I paid for the horse that day, but whatever it was worth every penny. Stay safe, everyone. Keep the fires burning.
The meaningful moment I've had in it was actually this past summer. My meaningful moment was meeting my little brother. His name is Ryan, and I feel like it was so meaningful to me because when I was a swamper, my big brother, his name is Noah, and he really built up this trust with me, and he made me feel welcomed, and I felt like I had someone to confide in, and he was just really cool, and we did a lot of things, and whenever we saw each other, he would always be like, "Hey, Sebastian," and like it would just brighten my day, and you know, being a swamper and feeling homesick and all that, it felt, you know, I just needed that, and so I tried to make that experience just what Noah gave me to Ryan, and I tried my best, and you know, whenever I saw him, I'd be like, "Hey, Ryan," and you know, just do all those little things to just brighten up his day, because I knew it was his first year, and yeah, and like at our little brother, big brother soiree, I know that was definitely a time that me and my big brother and me and Ryan definitely built up a relationship. We created our own little handshakes and just able to do all these cool things together. And I feel like it just shows how much of a community we have at camp too. And just those little things, just build up our community and just welcomes people in. And I felt like that's just really meaningful. And yeah, all those memories will stick with me forever.
I'd like to share a little story with you from my time as craft shop director, with just a pinch of artistic license. One day we had a special project planned in the craft shop. I gathered all the supplies, large sheets of craft paper, glue, a tape measure, scissors, more glue. We all worked together, measuring, cutting, and gluing. So much gluing. Together, we carefully carried our creation out the door and over to a fire we had ready. We held the opening over the smoke and fire and, voila, it began to fill. Our balloon was filling with hot air and it was rising. It worked. We did it.
Yay! It's floating!
We cheered as it rose above the trees into the clouds.
Look! Cool! Wow!
And then a voice from behind us said,
"You should have tied a string to it."
Well, now I think it's art.
Yup, it's definitely art.
You can't tie art down. Nope. I think it's over there. I see it.
It's still going.
There it is. I hope someone is going to pick that up when it lands.
So it's the summer of 2016. I was on trip staff, and I found out that my first trip of the summer was going to be an 8-day Quetico trip with my friend Graham Strauss. We couldn't be more excited to go paddle some big Canadian lakes, kicking off these 9th graders' final summers as campers, and I was really looking forward to taking them to this spot, Louisa Falls, which is this waterfall with a campsite right next to it. You can actually swim in the waterfall, which is amazing. It's day 5 of the trip, and the trip's going well, but it's been raining and windy sometimes, and the wind hasn't always been going in our direction. So Graham and I are a little stressed that we might not be able to actually spend that much time at Louisa Falls anymore. We're like 20 miles and a few portages away, and we're probably going to have to just pass by it the next day or something. But this day felt magical from the beginning. We got in these canoes and start going on Connippy Lake, and it's drizzling rain, kind of cold out, but the campers start singing "Oh What a Beautiful Morning." It started with one boat up ahead, and then the next boat, and then my boat, and everyone's singing "Oh What a Beautiful Morning" while it's drizzling rain and we're freezing cold. Anyway, we get to Agnes Lake after crushing some portages. Agnes is the lake that Louisa Falls is on, and the wind shifts directions and the sun comes out, and the campers ask if we can rig our rain fly to 2 canoe paddles and actually sail down Agnes Lake. And we give it a try, and we end up flying down this lake. And we made it all the way 13 or 14 miles, I think, from the top of Agnes to the bottom to Louisa Falls. And it was just an unbelievable experience flying down this lake. When I think back on it, I think how much fun it was, of course, but also how the campers responded. Their attitude of making the best out of a rainy situation turned what could have been just an ordinary trip into an extraordinary one that I'll never forget. And I've been thinking about that a lot, especially now. Everyone's facing some kind of challenge or change, and I've personally been trying my best to find those singing in the rain moments and using that epic sail as a reminder that positive change is possible.
One of the most meaningful moments for me at camp was on a Sunday night a few years back. As most of you guys probably know, after dinner on Sunday nights, the whole camp joins together in song. And one of my favorite songs that we sing is our national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner. After which, we proceed to chant, USA, USA, And it's awesome because it honors, the togetherness of camp, and also promotes most of our national heritage. But one of the awesome things about camp is that we do have a really, really big international community that goes to camp there, whether they're campers or counselors. And that's what makes camp special. And this particular story is about one camper named Nurali, who's one of my best friends, and he is from Kazakhstan. It was his first year, and of course he didn't speak English very well and didn't know very many people because it was his first year, and it was his first Sunday night. And as usual, we sang the Star Spangled Banner, and as usual, we started to chant USA, USA. But just little by little, a different chant grew louder and louder, and it heard Kazakhstan, Kazakhstan. And I was sitting there just bewildered at the fact that for one camper that not even many people didn't even know, the whole camp could rise up together to welcome that camper and change a tradition that we had practiced for so long just to honor him. And that made me realize, in truth, in that moment, the camp's motto: "This shall be a place that is welcome for all." It is.
So normally at this point, right after a council fire, I'll walk out in the council fire ring, and then I'll look to make eye contact with the person who wrote the council fire for the evening. And I'll point at them and I'll thank them for what they did. So right now, those of you who were my council fire people, those of you in Chicago and Denver and Boulder and Kansas City and Knoxville, I'm pointing at you and I'm saying thank you. Those folks did us all a big favor tonight by, with not very much time, putting together some thoughts and sharing with us those great stories. And to me, those stories were great. They were just kind of so perfectly encapsulated what it's like when life at Nebagaman goes right. When life at Nebagaman goes right, we have fun and we laugh hard and we have stories that we can think back on for years and years as, boy, that was really a funny moment. And then it's also that place where you have times that gave you faith in yourself and faith in your peers and faith in the world. And we certainly got to hear a few of those stories as well tonight. So thanks to you guys for putting those together, and that really worked. So I really appreciate it. We also wanted to share a key log ceremony with you all tonight, and we asked some of you all to send those in, and we have those, and we'll show those to you in a minute. But I figured first we'd do the story of key logs, just because it's a fun story to hear, and maybe some of you haven't heard it for a real long time. So back in the day, you all know that Nebagaman has a logging theme. And back in the day when they were cutting down all those trees, they were just cutting down a ton of them. And the way it worked was you had certain people whose job it was to take these logs that had been cut down, drag them down to the river, and throw them in the river. And by the way, the people who would drag the logs down to the river, those were called swampers. So shout out to all you swampers or former swampers. Anyways, they'd throw those logs in the river, and the logs would float down the river to the sawmills. And when they were at the sawmills, they'd be cut into usable wood, and everyone could be happy and make a living. But back in the day, they were cutting down so many of those trees that occasionally the river would get clogged with them. The river would get totally stuck, and nothing would move down the river. Nothing could flow to the sawmill. Nobody could make a living. Now, what they came to discover is that what was causing those log jams in the river were a few logs that were kind of turned in just the wrong way so that they were blocking everything. And those logs were called, you guessed it, key logs. And so what would happen is there would be these brave folks that would walk out onto the logs with a special tool, and they'd find those key logs, and they'd kind of tweak and twist and move those logs out of the way so that everything could flow down the river again, down to the sawmill, and everyone could make a living. Now, as you can imagine, once you freed up those logs, things got really dicey really fast. And sometimes those guys that would walk out on those logs, well, they'd get hurt and even killed. And in the evenings, all the loggers and lumberjacks and axemen and, you bet, swampers would sit around the campfire, and they'd take a piece of wood and they'd throw it on the campfire to thank those guys for bravely risking their lives so that everybody could make a living. And those were their key logs. Now, the geniuses that invented Camp Nebagaman took that idea and brought it into camp. And so what the key log became was an opportunity for somebody to take a piece of wood and throw it on the fire for somebody in their life or in their camp life that has made a difference to them. And the beauty is, when we get to the last part of the council fire, at the beginning of the council fire, remember, it's huge, right? It's a huge roaring fire. Well, when we get to our key log ceremony, that fire has burnt down in lots of cases to just coals. And then we have our key log ceremony, and everybody comes up and puts a piece of wood on the fire to thank somebody for making a difference in their life. And then at the end of the key log ceremony, we have a big, roaring, beautiful fire again. And it's the fire that's been built exclusively on the kindness and goodness of our community. It's really a beautiful thing. So, we're going to do a key log ceremony tonight, and Steph and I are going to put on the very first key log.
So this key log is for a whole bunch of people. First, I want to give this key log to our full-time staff, to Joe and Andy, Briggs, Fournier, and Lewis. As we've approached this summer and these uncertain times, these 5 of our full-timers are just absolutely, we know, doing everything they can to help us through these times, and are always willing to go the extra mile and put in the extra effort and ask us what we need to help us get to where we need to be this summer. So thank you, full-time staff. And I also just want to quickly mention our summer staff. We've had a lot of enthusiasm as we approach this summer, and there's many, many people who have called us up out of the blue and said, hey, we would love to be there as part of this summer also. So thank you to all of our staff as we go forward into the summer of 2020.
I'm going to expand on that, as I tend to do. I talk a lot during the summer to the staff and even to the kids about this idea of what I call a camp guy. And I realize that that's a gendered term, but please allow me some leeway here. A camp guy is somebody who does whatever has to be done, who sees where there's needs, see where there's help that needs to be given, and offers that help and engages and just helps. I have been unbelievably touched and moved throughout the course of this craziness that we're all going through at the camp guy-ness of our camp family. And that's every corner of that camp family. So I'm talking about the full-time staff that Steph just talked about. I'm talking about the staff that have signed up to work at camp this summer, who we spoke to and told them that this was going to be a unique kind of a summer, and that we might need them to do some special things this summer, and none of them batted an eye. It's to our alumni, who I have gotten many emails from saying, Adam, how can we help? We're thinking about you guys, and we want to be useful to you. It's to our parents that have been nothing but supportive. Look, we know this is an anxious time for us, but we also know it's an anxious time for our families as well. And those families have been gracious and kind and only offered support for us. That's felt great. It's to our kids, the campers, who we have had the opportunity to have individual grade Zoom meetings with. And it is just amazing in those Zoom meetings that we so quickly become just like we're at camp. It's just all of us hanging out and having fun together. And nobody's anxious, and everybody's just supportive and behind it. And lastly, I do just want to put this key log on for my family as well. This has been quite a ride over the last 2 months. I'm sure you all are feeling it as well in your homes. While there's certainly moments when we challenge ourselves a little bit at home, this has been a really special time with my family as well. So I want to thank all of you guys as well. All right, so now I would put this on the fire, but my house is made of wood, so I'm not going to build a fire here. But I am going to share with you the key logs that everybody sent in. So here they are.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Mack. I'm from Washington, D.C. I was a swamper last year. I give this key log to all the first responders. They'll help us stay safe during these harsh times.
And my name is Andy Mack, and I'm originally from Cincinnati and now from Washington, D.C. I was a swamper, logger, axeman, LJ counselor. And I put this key log on for all of the wives and moms who have been so great to take care of us and allow us to have these wonderful Camp Nebagaman experiences, for all the people who are keeping us safe, and for all of the kids who are going to enjoy Camp Nebagaman in the years to come.
Hi, my key log is for several people from Camp Nebagaman who made national headlines recently for doing good things during a very tough time. I'll start in the early 70s at Camp Nebagaman, before I was even a camper or family camper. There was a teenager at camp named Danny Meyer, who was co-winner of the Chef's Cap competition. He went on to become a very successful restaurateur in New York City and founder and chairman of Shake Shack, which, as many of you know, recently returned $10 million from the Paycheck Protection Program because they felt that small businesses needed it more. So he was a camper in the early 70s. Fast forward to the late 70s, when there were 4 campers who performed what I think is the greatest GTC act I ever saw. It was called Beatlemania. These 4 great musicians played Beatles songs. We thought it was fantastic. And 2 of them were Scott Silverstein and Matt Hoffman, who went on to become partners in HMS Media, which is a multimedia company that is involved with quite a bit of theater. So they're taking quite a hit during this crisis. But what they did was they, along with the Actors Fund, they created a video of Carole King's You've Got a Friend, which is a song I remember most from Sunday services. And it featured at-home actors and musicians from the hit King bio musical. And it made me smile. I guarantee it made a lot of other people smile. And then fast forward from the late 70s to 2011, I was a swamper push for one summer, and one of my 3rd graders was Jonah Dr. Loeb, who is not a doctor, but he is a high school senior now. And what he did was he formed a project called Print to Protect. And he corralled more than 100 people to 3D print and distribute medical gear for healthcare workers and frontline responders. And the group has made more than 3,000 parts for medical gear and delivered almost 1,500 completed face shields to local hospitals. So what you have is several different people who did good things in very different ways. They made people feel better financially. They made people feel better emotionally. They made people feel safer physically. But what they all have in common is a history of Camp Nebagaman. So my key log is for people who are doing good things during a very tough time, and for the place that I believe played a large role in inspiring them to be the kind of people who would do that.
I'm Logan Siegel.
And I'm Mark Siegel.
And this key log is for Camp Nebagaman for helping us make so many friends and great relationships.
And all that it has given us, and a special memory between the 2 of us as father and son. Thank you, Camp Nebagaman.
Hey, camp family, this key log is for you. I'm really thinking about you in these days. I hope you're all well and healthy. Cheers.
My name is Spencer Brown, currently residing in Casa Grande, Arizona. This key log is for the camp family who are supporting the local Nebagaman family. We're helping provide them meals and support, and helping to support the local businesses there as well. Proud to be a member of this camp family. I wish everybody well. Keep the fires burning.
I want to thank the first responders.
My name is Bud Herzog. In 1957, my first summer on the Nebagaman staff, my co-counselor was Alan Goldman. I admired him greatly, and we became very good friends very quickly. Alan passed away this past week, leaving me with countless great memories of things we did together at camp. We wrote and sang funny songs together. We started the archery, air riflery, range wars together. We rode council fires and Sunday services together, including the one our last summer at camp as counselors, which was titled What We Gained from Camp Nebagaman. What I gained was a friend of 63 years. So this key log is for my old pal Alan, but it's also for the countless other Nebagaman friends whom I've made over the years through about a decade as a camper and counselor and about a half century as a family camper. Thank you all, and thank you, Camp Nebagaman.
I want to thank all the camp staff, camp directors Adam and Stephanie, and all the counselors for keeping the camp spirit alive.
Keep the fires burning.
Hello, Camp Nebagaman family. Andrew Shapin here from London, UK. Camper in the 70s, counselor early 80s, and my boys were campers in the last couple years. And I want to put this key log on the fire to say a huge thank you to camp for giving me my lifelong love and appreciation of nature and the outdoors, number one. And number two, having moved to London and raised my children here, but sent my kids back to camp in 54849, it gave us a connection, a cultural connection and an American connection and a deep connection, which I don't think we would have had otherwise. And for that, I'm very grateful. And here's my key log.
This key log is for my cat and dog, Percy and Lila, because they are keeping me company during these hard times.
This is probably my 10th attempt to video myself doing this key log, and I'm determined to get through it this time. So, I hope everyone's doing well. My name is Madeline Scharf, and I'd like to throw a key log onto the fire for my grandfather, Aaron, who passed away this week. He was the first of 3 Scharf generations to step foot onto camp, and I know I speak for my entire family when I say we couldn't be more thankful for his decision to become part of camp. Camp has impacted all of our lives, though differently, in such a meaningful and big way. One of my favorite memories I'll cherish forever of my grandfather was when we had the chance to all return to Nebagaman for camp's 90th reunion, and we got to spend quality time with him on camp, just enjoying the little things in life and the special things that you can only do at camp. And remember one of those days we took him out on the pontoon boat, sailed around the lake. He loved seeing how things had changed since he'd been a camper. He just spent the day pointing to different things around the lake with his little life jacket on, his sunglasses on. My Uncle Lewis sat there listening or pretending to listen. But it was a really beautiful day. The sun was shining, the water was perfect, and I couldn't be more thankful for that day. Or for the chance to return for the 90th, and I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. So thanks again for a great 90th reunion. Hope everyone stays safe and keep the fires burning.
This is to all the very brave frontline workers who risk their lives every single day through coronavirus to keep others happy and healthy.
This key log is for all my Nebagaman friends from all around the world, too numerous to name, who have always been there for me through thick and thin. My older Nebagaman friends will certainly remember when as a young camper, I certainly was not thin. Unfortunately, some of you have passed away and are no longer with us this evening. I am blessed to have all of you in my life now more than ever. There is no replacement for being at the council fire ring together in person, but joining together this evening with all these amazing people is a blessing. This is also for those unnamed heroes who have put their lives at risk during this corona pandemic, who continue and serve and protect all of us. Keep the fires burning.
First, I'd like to thank Lewis and all the camp administration for doing the Sunday council fire. Wonderful idea and very much appreciated. I'd like to put a key log on for my mother, who is 88 years old and has been enduring lockdown at an assisted living center for over a month now. We have not seen her for a month. She spends the entire time in her room. There are virtually no activities, and she's a real trooper, and I hope that she gets through all this and is safe and sound.
Hi, it's Matt Friedman from Detroit, 83 to 90, and my key log is for E.J. Hahn, the late great swamper push. He taught us during counselor training. I was 16 years old, about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and during this whole crisis, I think about that every day. EJ's helping me make it through. My basic needs are met, and I can't complain because of that. So thank you for so much, but for that, thank you, EJ.
Hi, this is Ken and Ryan Mack from Bedford Hills, New York.
I wanted to put this key log on for Grandpa Alan, who went to camp in the 40s.
And to Muggs and Janet, to Nardi and Sally, to Roger and Judy, and to Adam and Steph, thank you for carrying on this amazing tradition for over 90 years. Keep the fires burning.
This key log is for the campers and staff of the Lumberjack Village 2019. Thanks for all of the awesome memories, which are more important now than ever before.
We hope that in addition to those awesome memories, you can rely on the friendships that you made at camp now and always. Keep bringing it.
Hello, camp family. This is Chase Kornblatt and Ben Kornblatt, two generations of Camp Nebagaman campers who are hoping that everyone is staying healthy and safe.
This key log is dedicated to Camp Nebagaman for giving me a place that I can escape the outside world to and be around people that are comforting to me and that always have smiles on their faces.
And my key log goes to camp and the camp family. You are in my thoughts every day. I also want to give a key log to all of the healthcare workers, first responders, and educators out there that are trying to navigate their jobs as well as helping our children during this crazy, crazy time. Thank you so much for everyone. Keep the fires burning.
Hey everybody, this is Andy Fournier, Lewis and Briggs. We want to put on a key log for all the people that have helped to make a difference at camp.
This is for everyone that we can call friends at Camp Nebagaman.
The friendships we've made at camp all these summers last year-round, and you all have made an impact on our lives that we cherish.
And now we're working hard to make sure we can all get back together again in the summer. Keep the fires burning.
We on? So thanks to everybody who put on those key logs tonight, and thanks to the rest of the camp community for being the kind of place that warrants such warm thoughts from members of its community. I don't know about the rest of you, but that key log ceremony is exactly what I needed right now. So just thank you to everybody for participating. The last thing we did surrounding tonight's council fire is that we asked Sally and Nardi and Judy and Roger to talk to us a little bit about this whole experience and about camp and how those things might relate. And I don't know about the rest of you, but to me right now, hearing from those folks will feel really good. So Here's Sally and Nardi and Judy and Roger.
The camp family is always the camp family. When we're not at camp, the directors are traveling and holding reunions and seeing kids. And the campers are in touch with each other, and some of the staff are in touch with the campers and with each other. It just feels like a family, and the miles between us disappear.
These are troublesome times, and we're on unfamiliar ground. We can all be very supportive of each other because these are stressful times.
Bring some of your Nabagaman to your home area and ask your friends if they have need of anything or how they're feeling. And ask your parents if you can help them out. And maybe you should KP a little bit. Maybe do some mocha at home. How about that?
The thing that always got me about Nabagaman is that as soon as you got there, and this is, I'm thinking back, I guess, to the middle 70s when I was on the staff, that as soon as you got out of the real world and came to camp, people were always coming up to you, what can I do to help? You know, can I help you? Whatever it was, a little thing or a big thing. There's this, it's a very unique feeling of camaraderie and togetherness. And that, you know, what you hope for is that when you leave camp that you take that same value back to your community. And I think in most cases, not all, but in most cases, that does work.
The way the program at Nabagaman has functioned, kids are given a lot of leeway in determining how they will allocate their time, what projects they'll specialize in, what goals they'll work to achieve. And they learn how to make decisions. Campers had a good opportunity to learn cooperation and sharing of burdens and making decisions.
But I'm not that concerned about the future for Nabagaman. I think it's in extremely capable hands. This is a very, very strong and formidable institution. It's not going anywhere. We all know that. And and when this is over, things are going to pick up. They're going to resume. So many kids are going to have the same positive, wonderful experience they've had for almost 100 years now. And it'll move on. And this will be part of the history and how did we get through it, and it'll become part of camp lore, and it's going to be okay.
You can do it, and you can depend on the rest of the people around you, the camp family and the camp administrators. This is really tough, and you've done a lot of tough things before. This might be the toughest, but you can do this.
That was pretty cool, wasn't it? Before we move into our concluding council fire stuff, I just wanted to thank everybody for making a point of being here tonight, and I wanted to let all of you know how much we appreciate the support of the camp family. These are unique days that we're all living through, and I really believe that when we as a camp family take these opportunities to connect with each other, and whether they be kind of grand connections like our council fire tonight, or the smaller connections that I know so many of you have been experiencing through reconnecting with your camp friends, or staying connected with your camp friends. I think that when we do that during times like these, when we cement and even expand on those connections and relationships that we built at camp, I think that helps us see our way through tricky times. So I hope the council fire worked for you, but in truth, that matters a little bit less to me because it really worked for me, and I needed this, so thank you all. And on that note, I want to make sure that we give a special thanks tonight to our Associate Director, Louis Levin. This whole council fire was his brainchild, and he put in virtually all of the work to make this thing happen. It was a great idea, and it was really well executed. So great work, Louis. It was just terrific. So now we want to do our final council fire things. And I hope you all remember what we do at the end of our council fires, the songs, and everything. And I want to ask you, if you're so moved, to actually do the things that we do. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you to stand up and take off your hats. And you know you've been wearing that hat for days and days on end now. So you might want to take it off when I ask you to. But maybe do it. And if you haven't been at camp for a few years, one of the things that we do at camp is when we sing those final songs, we throw our arms around our buddies near us. And so if you've got family near you, go ahead and do that as we do our conclusion. And now, as has been our custom for these past 92 summers, I ask that you please rise and remove your hats. As we bow our heads in silent prayer for the health and safety of our loved ones everywhere. Please join me in Round Thy Blazing and Taps.
Round thy blazing council fire's light, we have met in comradeship tonight. Round amongst the whispering trees, guard our golden memories. And so before we close our eyes in sleep, let us pledge each other that we'll keep camping friendship strong and deep till we meet again. Day is done, gone the sun, from the lakes, from the hills, from the sky. All is well, safely rest, God is nigh.
And may the Great Spirit bless you and keep you until we meet again.
All night, all day, angels watching over me, my Lord. All night, all day, angels watching over me. Now I lay me down to sleep, angels watching over me, my Lord. Pray the Lord my soul to keep, angels watching over me. All night, all day, angels watching over me, my Lord. All night, all day, angels watching over me. If I die before I wake, angels watching over me, my Lord. Pray the Lord my soul to take, angels watching over me. All night, all day, angels watching over me, my Lord. All night, all day, angels watching over me. Now I lay me down to sleep, angels watching over me, my Lord. Pray the Lord my soul to keep, angels watching over me.